Hi, this is Sandy,
And this is Trina.
and we are here again to welcome you to another great segment. Well, Trina, what are we talking about today?
Well, I think we should stop for a minute and think about some of the cliches that we've heard and just address them. One of the cliches that's really in my mind right now is when people say hurt people. We,
Mm,
we all know one thing for sure, that when you are experiencing the loss and when you're experiencing grief, it comes with hurt. We are going to experience the hurt. But so often we hear, hurt people. And when you're in it, when you're just in that grief mode, you don't even think that you would hurt someone,
right. I,
So,
I definitely don't think it's intentional.
right, that's
Hmm.
that's that's the really the point. It may not be intentional, but you might find that you are hurting people, even if it's somebody who is just trying to help, just trying to reach out for you. Maybe you are short with people you weren't always short with. Maybe you are, maybe you are feeling non-supported, and so when somebody might ask, "How are you?" you might be fine, and so, whatever your response
Mm,
to it is, one of the things that Sandy and I talked about was, you know, we want you to think about it. So the question that came up is, when hurt people, we would ask you, who are you hurting, friend?
mm. I think it's a really good conversation to have, and I think it is something to think about because I don't think we really take the time to think of a question like that.
Mm-hmm.
Hurt people, hurt. We might use it,
Mm-hmm.
but as it pertains to ourselves, how intentional are we when we're hurt and
Mm-hmm.
we are around people,
Mm-hmm.
basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're hurt, um, are you intentionally thinking of what that pain is doing to you and what it might be doing to someone else?
Mm-hmm.
Typically not, because when you're hurting, you're in pain, you're focused on yourself.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think it's a good conversation to have, to be mindful of how that's pouring over
Okay.
into our relationships
Yeah.
when those
Yeah.
around us.
Yeah. One of the things that I'm thinking about is those of you who might have kids and you've lost a significant other. And so, people tend to guard for their kids.
Hmm.
That's really important to make sure that they may not even be exposed to your own grief, your own hurt. But then it might be that somehow you're reacting and responding to them, that they might even be hurt,
Hmm.
and the hurt might come from you not wanting to talk about it.
Right,
And so, in your attempt to guard, it's almost shutting them out.
right.
So it's one of those situations where you might have to stop, right? And I bring up the kid scenario, but it might be in any relationship. You might have to stop and then just really pay attention to the reaction,
Hmm.
and then you'll get an opportunity to see even how people might um, distance themselves
Hmm.
from you.
And that's a good point. It just made me think you saying that, or when you hear someone in a response like, "What's wrong with you?" or "Why are you talking to me like that?" or "Why are you
Hmm.
acting that way?" In that moment is the moment where you might realize that the tone or the response or the demeanor might
Hmm.
have been something different than normal.
Hmm.
And in that, you can take the time out to say, okay, maybe something's going on here. Maybe
Hmm.
I'm dealing with this not as good as I thought I was dealing with this. Maybe you're
Hmm.
not dealing with it, and
Hmm.
that's what's causing or manifesting the response that you're giving to others.
Hmm. It's a good opportunity to
Mm-hmm.
take inventory.
Mm-hmm.
Take inventory of your speech, but take inventory of how people are reacting to you. We tend to, not want to. It's not me, it's
Right.
you. There's a lady that I work with. Her cup says, "It's you, not me." And so, really, it may really
Mm-hmm.
be you, right?
Mm-hmm.
It may be you, but rightfully so. You're in a grief state and you're
Right.
hurt. And if the cliche is true, hurt people,
Right.
we might have to just, again, take some inventory, take some steps back, allow the support,
Hmm.
and then allow the feedback. People will
Right.
tend to be real standoffish. A lot of people are not going to tell you. You just hurt my feelings because they know exactly the posture you're in. You're hurt. So they
Right.
will, again, avoid. Phone calls might stop coming in. There may be some distance again that you might be putting between you
Hmm.
and others, and they're causing them to be hurt. So,
And I just think it just might be a good practice to just be as transparent as possible.
hmm
It's just easier for everyone, for you even, to allow people that insight of what you're feeling. This is really not about you. It really is about what I'm going through. And like Trina
hmm
said, they may not want to share the response they're feeling from what you just said or did to them. So their natural reaction will be not to call, not to show up. They're
hmm
just going to put the distance, and you might be wondering what happened.
hmm
So if everybody's transparent, I
hmm
think everybody can accept and respect what's going on.
hmm It's almost like you might have thoughts of, while I was in my grief state, while I was having this experience, no one supported me.
Hmm.
But I just say to you, they may not know how to support you
Right.
in that particular grief state. So again, be mindful. It is going to be some mindfulness
Be
of how
mindful.
you respond,
Hmm.
but also how people respond to you.
Right. Because the delivery is important,
hmm
and we should be mindful of it. And again, with this emotion of grief, there's no right, there's no wrong. It
hmm
just sits where it sits. And so we just have to learn and understand how to navigate through it. But there's no quick or easy fix for any of it. But this subject is so powerful because it really does bring attention to something that might be missed in the
hmm
bigger picture of
hmm
things.
hmm
So,
Do some inventory. One
yes.
of the things that I have suggested to people is just journal if you can. Um, I've been told that if you get yourself a journal and you get two ink pens, so you get a red and you get a blue. And so on those storm days, write in red. This just was not a good day. And then write down some of your interactions that you have with people. You might even write that in blue, but the reaction you get from others, it might be in red.
Hmm.
And so what you can do is just gauge how you experiencing your loss, right? And so the journal will have put a date, write in red, it's just a bad day. You can write one line, one sentence, right?
Great
Just
exercise.
one, yeah, just one sentence.
Great.
And I offer you all that believe it or not, the Rosses and the Marshalls, they have them for like $3.99, these journals. And just write it down. This is your experience today. And some days you're
Hmm.
gonna have all blue. It was
Hmm.
just a good day. And then some days you might be writing in all red. You might have a week of red. It just depends on what time of the year it is, kind of what your experience is. But it's just an assignment that
I
I
think
would
that's a
offer.
great exercise, and I think it's a great way to just kind of, put down on paper what you were feeling and go back and reflect later on, and to
hmm
see how far you've come in that.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
that's a good one. That's a
yeah,
great one,
yeah,
actually.
yeah. I think it's worth trying. Now that's an assignment we definitely would give you to
Mhm.
try. And again, however, just one
Yes,
line, one page,
right.
and if you have an experience where you just need 6 or 7 pages, then feel free to go right ahead, write it all
Hmm.
down, and then just see. Eventually, you will get to the other side of grief, and it is all right to look back
Hmm.
because you're going to have to use your experience for someone else. You cannot
Absolutely.
hold it for yourself. At some point, you might say, I remember
Hmm.
when, and whatever that is, right? And the same, somebody else might be experiencing it now. I remember. And we all do experience it differently.
Absolutely.
And so we'll
Absolutely.
have a different response. However, we definitely want you to just get some tools that might help you navigate your way through the grief experience.
Definitely. Well, I definitely and Trina definitely would love to hear the feedback or if you have some suggestions. And again, if this video, if you found it to be helpful, please don't forget to share it with someone that you care about and think that this might be helpful to them.
Yes.
Well, friends, remember, don't forget to visit your lighthouse.
It'll help you find your way out of the dark.
Until next time.
Goodbye.